from the offices of Great River Investments in the beautiful city of Burlington, Iowa. This is the Marvin Knows Finances Show. I am your host, Marvin Thompson, your certified financial planner with Great River Investments. And joining me today and every day is my marketing guy, Kyle Rappenecker of Rappenecker Designs, the man who actually makes this podcast work and makes me sound so good. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to listen in. And as always, for all of my listeners on iTunes and Spotify, don't forget to click the subscribe button. If you prefer to see just how handsome we are, please check out the YouTube channel, Marvin Knows Finances, and click subscribe there as well. Just like the last and every time, I have to take care of a little business before we get moving too far forward to make sure my compliance department stays happy and allows me to continue to bring you this wonderful show. So here it goes. Marvin Thompson is an investment advisor representative and a registered investment advisor with Brokers Financial member SIPC. Opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of Brokers Financial. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Great River Investments, LLC does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstances. Glad we got that out of the way.
Hey, it needs to be said. It needs to be said.
All right, Kyle. So this week we are going to be talking about college. The title of the show is College Worth the Price. And what brought this up to me is a couple of different factors or things that happened in my life that made me start really thinking about this. Of course, we've talked in past episodes about my two children.
Yep. Natalie
is now a second-year nursing student at our local community college. She'll be starting classes again in a couple of weeks to work on her RN degree. And my son Travis is going off to the Air Force in a few weeks. And of course, they have a college program and so forth. Yep. But we're having dinner the other night, and on the NBC News, the 5:30 NBC News. They did a story about companies that are now hiring people without college degrees specifically, and it got me thinking, man, this is a great podcast topic because is college really worth the price that kids nowadays and parents are paying?
Exactly.
And as a financial planner, I sit here and look at it and think, oh my God, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars is being spent on educations. And you kind of wonder whether the children or the young adults are actually getting their money's worth when it comes to getting some of these degrees out there. So Absolutely. What do you think? I mean, do you think you need a college degree?
Well, from my experience, I mean, we both went to the same college, not at the same years, obviously, but
obviously, nice. That's a good way to start.
Hey, we both have the same alma mater.
That's right.
But
go Western Illinois.
But I feel like I learned some things there. The marketing classes I took, I still have some of that engraved in me. But, overall, I feel like a lot of what I utilize now was from just diving into, the workforce, diving into my jobs and stuff and actually getting out there. So the one thing that I guess there's a lot of negatives when I think about college. I think about, like those Ivy Leagues where like families are spending, like you're saying, hundreds of thousands of dollars so they can say that their child went to Princeton or Harvard or something, where in fact maybe the kid is just goofing off, going to fraternities and just drinking every night and stuff, and it's just like maybe they're just doing the same classes that they're doing at a local community college. So
exactly.
There's things like that I think about, but I think there's positives and negatives, but overall, I think that there are a lot of benefits to, these trade schools, these union jobs that you can get that, where you can easily get training within a year or two, and then you're, certified and stuff. So, it's kind of a hard question to answer, but I think a lot of people get a lot out of college. Like my wife, she's a teacher and she got a lot out of it, but then again, she had to do a lot of internships and stuff like that. So, but then again, that's mostly like technically on the job training. So, it's just kind of a toss up, I guess. So.
Exactly, and I kind of feel the same way you do. When I went to school. there was definitely some things that I carried over into my professional career that I did learn in college. A lot of basic stuff in some cases, a lot of more advanced stuff in other cases. But it's hard to sit here and say, is a college degree worth it? Yes or no? And I think what you basically said is it boils down to what career you're going into.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think right now colleges promote a lot of majors where the children could definitely get a better understanding by just joining into the workforce right off the bat. When I went to school, what is it now, 27 years ago when I graduated from college, it was understood that if you went to school and you had a degree, it meant more.
Yes.
In terms of pay, it meant more in terms of status and so forth. Nowadays, you almost look at it and say, well, if you have a college degree, what does it really mean? It means that you were able to accomplish something. But nobody knows the story of the 4 or 5 years it took you to get there.
Exactly. They don't ask for your GPA.
They don't ask for your GPA. They really don't even care what school you went to unless you're looking for some sort of status symbol, like you said, with maybe a certain college or whatever.
Exactly.
But, it's amazing to me the number of kids out there who pick schools just because of the reputation of the schools and not necessarily because of the programs and so forth.
Exactly.
But I'm starting to see a shift in the process of thinking when it comes to this whole idea of college. And I'm actually encouraged by it. Because I do see more and more kids wanting to join into the military or use the National Guard as a way to help pay for school.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing more and more kids going into trade schools. I'm seeing more and more parents talking to their kids. And we're going to cover all this today. But like I said, what does a college degree do for you? What do you feel a college degree does for you? I think it shows that you're able to accomplish something. That's really what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
all right. So your son's 2 years old. We've talked about that.
Yep.
Obviously you're not talking to him about colleges yet.
No, not yet.
But do you and your wife ever have conversations about it in terms of the thoughts of what it's going to look like in 16 years?
Yeah, we do. We definitely. We might sound like bad parents, but both of us. Our parents. They never. Set aside any sort of money to, put us through college or anything. So we're going to sort of have that same outlook for, our son and, hopefully our future, next child and stuff. So we're going to make them, they turn 16, get a job, make sure that they have enough money to go to, probably a local community college. And then after that, if they want to decide to go to either a trade school or, there's just so many options. There's, I know, some 18-year-olds who they just got out of high school and then they started getting they got a trucking job for, like $30 an hour. And it's just like, you're making more money than me and you're, 15 years younger than me. So it's just like, so there's so many options out there. But I feel like, and that's the other thing is like, if the student or the child isn't really paying for the college, I feel like there isn't really a big weight or a burden on their shoulder to, have that effort or have that desire to learn to like you say when you talk about college is about accomplishing something. Well, if you are going to go in there, take out loans and do this, then I feel like you're going to get more out of it if you kind of go that route instead of your parents saying, all right, here's $50,000 that we saved up, go to college, have your fun, don't worry about stuff.
Yeah.
So, but then again, that might just be my outlook, but so. Yeah, but either way, I'm good with whatever they choose, as long as it's not,
And see, we kind of took a little bit different stance with ours. I don't think my parents really had the ability to save money for college, for whatever reason. And then we took a little bit different approach with it basically, and said, we're going to try to save some. But I think one of the points I'd want to put out there to all the parents who may be listening to this is, with the astronomical costs of college nowadays, it's virtually impossible to save enough in a account or whatever
Oh yeah.
to pay for 100% of that child's education.
Mhm.
Okay.
Even a local college.
Local
yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
So let's back it up a second and say, okay, what's step one? What's step one? Do we want to talk about savings first, or do we want to talk about something different? I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about the fact that parents don't talk to their kids about the potential landmine that they're walking into.
Yes.
Okay. So this isn't going to make me very popular with the college scene probably, but I look at colleges as for-profit businesses, and a lot of people will say no, that's not the case. They're there to provide education for the children and so forth.
I completely agree with you.
But colleges make money. College professors back in my day at Western Illinois made a tremendous amount of money per year,
Yep.
and it takes a lot of money to fund those things. Some of it's coming from state, since it was a state university. But a lot of it's coming from tuition. That's why you see increases every year.
Yep.
And that's why you see colleges, when the child reaches a junior year in high school, start to reach out to your students if they have any inclination about the possibility of going to school.
Exactly.
So colleges, in my opinion, are for-profits. And for for-profits, they're trying to sell you a product that may or may not be in your best interest. Okay?
Exactly.
So we need to start talking and educating our children at a fairly early age about what college means, what college can do for you, and is it really worth the price to go out and do that?
Yes.
Because you bring up a couple of very good points. As we sit here today, there are a tremendous amount of jobs available out there paying really, really good wages for 18, 19, 20-year-old young adults. I keep calling them kids, but they're young adults.
Yeah.
Where they would not necessarily need a college degree.
No.
Okay. And so I think it's a lot that they need to talk about. But then, of course, the costs, the cost of schooling right now. I mentioned this in previous podcasts, but $1.7 trillion in student loan debt in this country right now. $1.7 trillion. That's a ton of zeros.
Yep.
Okay. Average debt per student is $38,000, almost $39,000 per child.
Yep.
Okay. And if you're sitting there right now with a 6-year-old, based on a J.P. Morgan study that I read, 4-year universities, when that 6-year-old gets to college age in 12 years, is going to run about $172,000 per year.
Oh boy.
Now you take that in a family of 2-3 kids, you're talking $500,000 and up.
Jeez.
Now, I kind of put an asterisk by some of those numbers because, a lot of it depends on what part of the country you live in, what university you're going to, are you going to be in-state, out-of-state, and so forth.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to a private university, you might as well just double that because they're projecting cost to be about $393,000 for the 4 years that you go to a private university.
Oh yeah.
So
Even if you get scholarships, you're still
scholarships, grants, all that stuff.
Yeah, doesn't even matter,
it's
really.
it's very, very scary. So we've been talking to the kids in my household about let's talk about your career you want. I'm not going to make your career choice for you, and then decide what's the best route to go. And a lot more parents are doing that nowadays, and a lot of kids are realizing, hey, I don't want to come out of school with $39,000 in debt. I don't want to be making those $300-400 a month payments in addition to my rent and my car and everything like that. So
Exactly.
it's important that you're sitting down there and talking. I pretty much told my kids, look, I will be willing to pay for your 4 years of schooling. That's not a problem. Well, it kind of is, but with 2 of them in school at the same time. But it's something you have to work with me on. You have to be willing to start, for example, at our local community college. And Natalie happened to choose a career in the nursing field where they have one of the best nursing programs
yes.
around. And
Absolutely.
she'll end up with the same exact degree that she would have if she went to our state university that has a really good nursing program also for a fraction of the cost. She's able to live at home. She's able to save money. She's able to work. And so that's a really good example of something that as parents you can do with your child is almost promote the use of a community college, because it's a fraction of the expense of going to a 4-year university or a 4-year private school and so forth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
One quick story for you. So a few years back, I was a representative in something called Southeast Iowa Days up in Des Moines. And basically what it is some business leaders in the community will go up to Des Moines and you listen to some students in the area talk about their thoughts on Iowa, what would want them to stay around here and so forth. And when I was up there that year, the kids were talking about getting maybe some tuition assistance or forgiveness when they graduate college. and the kids stood up there and they said, "Hey, I want to be a orthopedic surgeon, and I plan on going into debt $250,000." I'm thinking, okay, $250,000 for an orthopedic surgeon is a lot, but at least they have the opportunity to make, that kind of money to pay that off. Huge burden, but something they could do. Another young lady stood up and said, "I'm planning on being a teacher, and I'm going to go into debt $130,000 to become a school teacher." And then my red flags going up, because I'm like, she seemed like a nice young lady. She seemed like she had a real passion to teach kids and so forth.
Yeah.
But if we have teachers coming out of school, with $130,000 in debt, we have a real big. She's going to have a real big problem, because teachers in our area don't start out making the kind of money that you would want to pay $132,000 in student loan debt. So, always thinking about parents talking to their kids. That's a really good example of somebody who could potentially be in trouble. And, she's standing up on stage in a room full of 200 people. You don't know if she has any guidance or not, but you just want to reach out and help these kids.
Yep, exactly.
It's really what you want to do.
Exactly.
And, that's something we do here. If parents want to come in and talk with their students about college and the cost and whether it's worth it or not, it's all going to depend on the degree. It's all going to depend on how can you start cheap as possible, and so forth.
Yep.
So it really brings me to my next topic, is how do you even pay for this? When you start hearing of numbers of $170,000 or $130,000 or $250,000, how do you do it as a parent? And you and your wife have kind of made the decision, look, we're not going to really put a lot of effort into, saving for our kids' education. Totally respect it, totally understand it. But if you're one of those parents out there who maybe want to do that, what are some options for you? Okay.
Yeah.
So 529 plans is probably the most popular thing that you can look at. And in the state of Iowa, we have a really good state-based college plan called College Savings Iowa. And the website is simple. It's collegesavingsiowa.com.
Yeah.
It's ran through a very low-cost provider. You can start funding kids' education accounts for as little as $25 a month. Basically how it works is you go on the line to the account or to the website, you register your information as the owner of the account. You put your child's information in there, and then you name a successor owner in case something happens to you. This is the person who's going to take it over.
Okay.
All right. And they have age-based investments. They have individual investments that you can choose. For those of you who may not be familiar with, how investments work, an age-based investment might be the best route to go.
Yep.
And simply put, the younger the child is, the more aggressive the account is. Okay. So I think that's a really good option to do. In the state of Iowa, you do get a small tax break on your state taxes if you use the College Savings Iowa program.
Oh, really?
But since this is going to be a national broadcast, you have to really check with your individual states and their individual programs to decide whether which is the best program for you. Because I think every state has a different program.
Oh,
so you definitely want to check into it, what your state offers and what would be the best for you. Okay.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do is something called a UGMA account. That's a Uniform Gifts to Minors account.
Okay.
And basically what you're doing is you're the owner of the account, and you can invest it how you want until your child reaches age of majority. But then once they reach age of majority, they take over the account. So if you happen to save $10, $20, $30, $40,000, whatever the number is in this UGMA account, you run the risk of losing control of that account when your child reaches age of majority. In a 529 plan, you don't do that. You're always the owner. Okay. And if something should happen to the kid, or the kid decides not to go to school, that can be transferred to another beneficiary. So if you have 2 children, it works out pretty good. Okay.
Interesting.
But the bottom line is that when you're doing the investments in this, you really want to make sure that you're taking advantage of time, taking advantage of compounding interest. Because the more growth you have in these 529 plans, as an example, the better it is. Any growth inside of 529 plans comes out tax-free if it's used for qualified education expenses. So it's really a good thing. Financial aid. Financial aid, unfortunately, is not something you're going to know about till right before you go to school. And every parent out there who's ever filled out a FAFSA form, all you ever do is sit there and scratch your head, like, why do I do this? Why is it working? And so forth. But there are some stats about financial aid really doesn't pay for as much as people would think they do. But it strongly encourage anybody sending a child to college to contact a financial aid office. They're wonderful people. They sit there and they spend time. They work with you. They try to find you money. It's really their job. Their job is to give out the money.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. And then, of course, scholarships. In previous employment, I was shocked by the amount of scholarships that go unclaimed every year.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by unclaimed is people don't even apply for them. And I think maybe it's just a matter of not knowing about them. From a business point of view, it doesn't make a lot of sense to advertise scholarships, because really what you're doing is just transacting the business.
Yep.
So, always look online for scholarships. This is going to sound weird, but a lot of banks have trust departments, and trust departments in a lot of cases will be responsible for scholarships.
Oh,
so,
okay.
At my previous employer, there was one lady who actually handled a lot of scholarships.
Okay.
And,
wow.
That was her job.
And doesn't...
Part of her job, I should say.
Doesn't most of the, the counseling departments in the schools, don't they also cover sort of the scholarship section and stuff like that? So
they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in a lot of high schools nowadays and a lot of colleges, they almost make it super simple. It's you fill out one form, and then they kind of try to match you up with scholarships. But that still doesn't guarantee that all the scholarships are being handed out. Okay. So definitely talk to your school guidance counselors. Definitely talk to your college counselors to see what's out there.
Okay.
Because scholarships going unclaimed is just free money going down the drain. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Not a good thing at all.
Yeah.
So, Rotary clubs, Kiwanis, Optimist clubs, Lions Club, a lot of these service organizations, they have a tremendous amount of scholarships that they give away, both on a local and national level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for parents with kids getting ready to go off to school or in school right now, the scholarship season's kind of come and gone right now as we're recording this.
Yeah.
But always be talking to people, always be looking, always be doing everything.
Okay.
And, there's a lot of wonderful things out there for these hardworking young adults.
Absolutely.
And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the one thing that they told us in high school was to search as hard as possible for scholarships, because they're out there and stuff. So, and I actually worked with a foundation in Fairfield, Iowa, and they're called Greater Jefferson County Foundation, and they were responsible for about 20 different scholarships. And I mean, I was just amazed at the amount of money that they were giving away, and a lot of students just weren't aware of them. Yeah. So their job was to, and they weren't a part of any school or any organization. They were just sort of on their own. So it just amazes me, and it just made me think, how many other, places out there are like this, and a lot of these scholarships were for, it was like the Mary and Mark, blah 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 foundation scholarship, and a lot of them were for deceased families. It was just mind boggling,
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's just so many scholarships out there available.
Yeah.
People just need to be willing to sit down, do the research, do the essays, fill out the applications, and do it. And it's like money from heaven.
Yep.
You won't get them all. You don't get them all, but you could get some, and every little bit helps.
Yep.
Every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
Bottom line, college is a coin flip for me.
Mm-hmm.
Would I definitely tell every person out there that you need a college degree nowadays? Absolutely not.
No.
I love the idea of promoting trade schools.
Yep.
The trade industries in this country are booming.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to continue to boom as the population grows.
Yep.
Electricians, welders, plumbers, pipe fitters, they make great money.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing we haven't really discussed is college is not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's tons of people out there who hated school.
That's
and the
true.
thought of going for another 4, 6, 8 years is just not in their book. So it's something that should definitely be discussed and taken care of.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So college needs to be discussed with your children, with an adult, with somebody with experience. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah.
You may be blessed and have all your college money saved for you, which is wonderful.
Yes.
You may be like me and have to try for the grants, have to work in school flipping hamburgers, cleaning tables. That's just part of life.
Yep.
It builds character. It builds a little credibility there too.
Exactly.
So do you think there's anything else we should even talk about with this project or this topic today?
No, I think the big thing that you keep kind of pushing on is to if your parents aren't talking to you about it, to make sure that you're if you're a young person out there in high school who's listening or watching this, to just bring it up to your parents, because that's one thing that I really regret, is that my parents never really talked to me about college. I just sort of made my own choices, and they never really gave me any direction. So, I probably would have done things a little bit differently in regards to my, the path that I would have taken and stuff. So, if they're not talking to you about it and stuff like that, I would bring it up and just say, what are your guys' thoughts? What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? So, yeah, I think that's, but I think you did a really good job, talking about that. So, yep, absolutely.
And don't forget about your local community colleges.
Mm-hmm.
There is discussion that community college will be free in the future.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
Don't forget about your trade
That's the other
schools.
thing.
And don't be
Community
willing to
college.
sacrifice a couple of years of drinking beer and partying for the right financial move. That's the really bottom line.
That's the other thing. Community college is a blessing. Yes.
Community colleges are blessings.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to
Most
think
of them.
I'm promoting them out here, which I am. But
Well, when most of those credits transfer over to a bigger college, then it's kind of hard to not
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So, my heartfelt thanks goes out to all of you for listening today. As always, my thanks also goes out to Kyle Rappenecker of Rappenecker Designs in Yarmouth, Iowa. We want to hear from you, so please reach out to me by either giving me a call at 319-576-2264 or visit my website at www.greatriverinvestments.com. Go to the contact section of the site and fill out the information. I or a member of my team will be in touch with you shortly to discuss our next steps together. Thank you all again for listening to the Marvin Knows Finances Show. This has been Marvin Thompson, your certified financial planner. Have a great day.